Hey, my name is Lisa and I'm a freelance industrial designer since 2017. In this video, I'm gonna share some tips if you want to become a freelance industrial designer or if you want to have some extra income working on freelance projects as a side hustle. What I want to start with is I want to say that freelance is not as easy as a lot of people might think. It takes a lot of time and effort to build a real working system that will pay off in the end. So my best advice for those who are just starting out or thinking about starting working as a freelancer is do not start without a plan. Think about your main goal that you want to achieve in the next few years. Then break down this goal into small steps that you will have to do consistently every month, for example. Write them down, and this will become your business plan for the near future. So your main goal might be to get well-paid clients consistently. So how do you get there? In the very beginning, you should start with building a couple of different channels, platforms, whatever you call it, something that will bring you new clients in the potential future. You will also have to start working with smaller companies and smaller budgets first, but this will definitely help you build the initial client base that you can start with. I actually filmed a pretty long video about how you can get new clients as a freelance industrial designer, so I will link this video below, so definitely check it out. So getting back to your freelance business plan, the next tip I can give you is definitely set your dream budget. And from the very first client project you work on, always write down your income. Because this is something I did not do in the very beginning, but I should have done it, because this really helps you understand if you're on the right track with your pricing or not. Set up your budget. Start with something realistic because you're in the very beginning of your journey, right? So calculate how much money you need to close up all your needs, like paying the bills, the rent, health insurance, all of that. And this can become your starting point for the next few months. Once you have a particular number, the next thing you have to think about is the amount of projects that you want or can work on at the same time. And also think about it in a very realistic way. For me personally, the comfortable amount of projects is 5 or 6 that I can take on at the same time. To figure out the price per project, you need to divide the amount of money you want to make per month to the amount of projects that you want to work on. And this can give you an overall idea of how much money you can charge per project. If you're curious how much I charged for my very first project that I worked on as a freelance industrial designer, you can check that video in the description. I will link it below. I'm telling about how I started as a freelancer in general, but speaking shortly, I charged $100, and at that time I didn't really know if that was enough or not. Obviously, it depends on the project specifications and the amount of work that needs to get done for a particular project, because it's one thing if you're creating just a concept in sketches, in very rough sketches, and that's it, or it's a completely different situation if you work on a project from the very beginning, from rough sketches, getting till the very end and presenting the 3D model, prototype, etc. So the price range can be completely different depending on what is required to complete. The next tip I can give you to build a consistent freelance business is definitely have more than one channel to attract new clients. Because if something happens to this one platform that you're using, you will end up with nothing. However, I would definitely recommend you start with one platform first. Let's say it's Instagram, but it doesn't have to be. It can be absolutely any platform that you can think of. And start investing some time and effort into it. And once it starts paying off in some way for you, you can then move to the next platform and build it as the next channel that would attract clients for you. But the reason why I don't suggest you start with more than one platform in the very beginning is that you will end up really spreading yourself and you will not focus on anything. So you will grow everything very slowly instead of growing one platform first that will start giving you some results. And once it does, you then can grow another platform, not forgetting about the first one you built. So what I was trying to say is that if you concentrate on one platform first, it will start to pay off much faster than if you spread your attention, time, and effort into different platforms. They will just grow slower than you probably expect. My next advice would be something that you don't probably think about when you're just starting, but it's extremely important. So have different sources of income. You probably heard about active and passive income, so what they are. So basically, active income is when you make an effort to do something once and then you get paid also once. The perfect example in our case in industrial design field is client projects. Then passive income is when you make an effort once, but then you get paid multiple times. The example of passive income might be recording and selling some educational course. It can also be a book selling or some illustration or prints, whatever you might think of that can be purchased more than once. So in a perfect scenario, after a while building your freelance business, you will have around 3 or 4 different platforms that bring you new clients every now and then. Also, it's completely fine that one platform gives you more clients than another one, but of course some additional platforms are definitely a good thing to have if something happens with this main platform that you're using. My next tip would be to keep in mind that freelance is a seasonal thing. This is something I didn't think of when I was just starting as a freelancer, but this is something that you really need to take into account. If we take an overview of the year, starting from December, people usually tend to finish all of the projects before Christmas and then they get back to work very slowly after the new year. So there is a gap from, I would say, the 20th of December till the end of January that you probably have no client inquiries at all. But then February happens to always be the most successful month of the year for me from the financial side, because probably people set the goals for the new year and once they get back to work, they are willing to start reaching these goals. And February is the month when I have the most amount of client inquiries. Then a lot of people usually go on vacations in summer. So again, summer is the season when you will probably have less projects. I would say from the end of May till the beginning of September. So keep all of this in mind and really save up as much as possible before these seasons of holidays or summer start. And this leads us to the next advice that I can give you is always save up some money in case it's a holiday season or the payments are delayed, which happens pretty often, by the way. A lot of people tend to save around 10% from each salary or payment that they have. In my case, I usually save up for the next, let's say, 6 months that I need to pay my bills for, and this is something that I feel comfortable with. Speaking of the payment delays, well, this happens pretty frequently due to different reasons. Well, first of all, if you're using freelance platforms, be prepared that you will not automatically get the payment once the project is done. I don't remember how exactly it's called, but in a lot of different platforms there is a period. Once you finish the project and you kind of get the payment, you don't really get it in the reality, so the money gets freezed for some period of time in case a client wants to make the changes or something else. And this is one of the reasons why I do not recommend using such platforms, but it's a topic for another video for sure. So just think in advance how much money you will need for the next a couple of weeks, and really withdraw the funds in advance so you really have money for the near future. Of course, if you work with local clients, it's much easier and you can get direct payments to your bank account. But if you're working with international clients and you probably use platforms like PayPal or Pioneer, it's completely fine, but you also have to know that these platforms do not automatically, again, withdraw funds to your card, and it takes some time to proceed all of these things. So for example, if you withdraw your funds from PayPal or Pioneer on Friday, you will probably get the funds only on Monday or even Tuesday, depending on your time zone. So this is not a huge problem, but this is just something you need to think about again in advance to make sure that you have enough money for your living. And yeah, the financial side of the freelance seemed a little complicated and overwhelming for me in the very beginning because I had absolutely no clue how to make payments, especially international ones. But once you figure that all out, it becomes much easier and you don't really have to think about all of that stuff once you make at least one payment. So finishing the financial side of the freelance business, I have to remind you that you should always take a 50% prepayment before you start doing any kinds of work. And then the remaining payment is usually done before you deliver the final files to the client. This will help you make sure that the client is serious about really working with you, and you will not waste your time working on something that a client is not really interested in. And yeah, just be prepared that this is something that needs to be done. Don't be afraid about speaking about the prices and the payment terms, because this is the thing that may really complicate the whole process if you do not bring it up front. So I hope you found something useful and hopefully inspiring to finally start your freelance career. And I will have more tips for you in the future, so stay tuned for this freelance advice series, and I will see you in the next video.